Smoked Meats and Honest Eats, a chat with a food loving reviewer. Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Passionate Palate, a podcast for food lovers and culinary explorers where we talk about various foods, flavors, and ingredients from around the world. I am your host, Zay. On today's show, I have a very special guest. We have Imran Khaja. He is the Director of Managed Services at Visual Image, an AV integration firm. Imran is a foodie who loves to cook, do restaurant reviews, and is very passionate about grilling, barbecues, and smoked meats. Assalamu alaikum, Imran.
Walaikum salam, Zaya. Very happy to be here and joining.
Yes, and I'm excited to have you too. Welcome to the show. So please tell our listeners a little about your job and what it entails.
So I'm the Director of Managed Services for Visual Images. It's an AV integration firm where we work on digital signage, also video conference systems, boardrooms, training facilities, anything AV, audio, video related.
Nice. And is it local? Like, you have a long commute, or is it in New Jersey?
No, thank God it is local. It is in Englewood.
Perfect.
Yeah, good 10, 15-minute drive to work, beats my old job where it was a 45-minute drive.
Wow.
So it's nice.
Of course, that's great. All right. So tell us, what sparked your love for food, and what is your first dish that you cooked, and what gave you confidence in the kitchen?
I think it may be a little bit cliche-ish, but I think my love for food was sparked by seeing other people enjoying it.
Really?
You know, yeah, my family always complains when I'm cooking and stuff. I don't eat any of it. I don't eat much of it, and everybody else eats all of it. And so, I think I enjoy watching people enjoying my food.
Oh,
That's my passion, right? Where I started off was back in high school with desserts.
really
My first, yeah,
that's
my
interesting.
first thing yeah, and knowing you and from the bakery and stuff. So I started off with cookies, actually.
Wow.
Baking cookies and stuff, bringing them to my youth group, and everybody loved the cookies. So then I started exploring further and started making cheesecakes and bread pudding and a bunch of other desserts and stuff, and I bring them to family parties and stuff like that. But that started off with desserts and then moved into cooking all types of other food, from Thai food to American food to and then into grilling.
Wow, that's really interesting. To think that you started with desserts is like, I'm kind of surprised, because normally
Yeah,
you'd start off with like our kind of food, right, at home, and to start
right.
off with desserts, because baking, it requires a lot of patience. And I'm sure if you're a baker, then cooking comes not so bad, because baking is so precise. You have to measure
Right.
everything, precisely, unlike cooking, where you could just add whatever you want. Like, if you want it more spicy, less spice, more salty, less salty, you could, change it around. So do you remember the first thing you baked? Was it chocolate chip cookies or brownies?
It was chocolate chip cookies. Yes, that was my first thing I made, and I brought it over to our youth group sleepover at the mosque, and everybody loved it. So
Nice.
I was like, all right, let me keep doing this.
That's awesome. So I know you like to review restaurants. So when you're not reviewing restaurants, what kind of meals do you like to cook at home for your family?
I love Thai food. So I will cook, pad Thai. I'll cook a red curry at home.
Wow.
My daughter loves red curry, so I'll make that at home. I cook a lot of Indian food as well
Okay.
at home. We don't have much time these days, right?
Right.
With running around with
I know.
work and running around with the kids and
True.
their activities and everything. What I like to do back in the days, it was cooking everything from scratch, right? Get all your
Oh,
spices, your
yeah.
masalas, and everything. Cook everything from scratch. These days, I do what I like to call extreme cheating.
Or
Um,
shortcuts, or little shortcuts.
yeah, and so like I'll go to the Indian store and I'll buy like the pre-made packets and
Right.
stuff like that, and I'll try those out now, and I've got my certain packets and certain spice mixes that I get from the store now to help me cook my food now.
I
So
know.
it's a much quicker way, but it still comes out really well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good. Sometimes you need that little extra help in the kitchen, because my family and I, especially my daughter, she loves Thai food, and I have tried. Like, I go to the I'm sure you go to the local, like, Asian grocery store, because you find
Oh
really
yeah.
good, exactly, H Mart and stuff like that. So I tried also making from scratch, and it's so time consuming. Like,
Oh yeah.
making like, unless it's a Sunday and then I have some time, weeknight dinners, it's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say, if I asked you what's your comfort food, would after a long day? Would you say it's Thai food or is there something else?
Ramen.
Really?
I love ramen.
Let me guess,
Yes.
Bulldog, the Bulldog brand halal stuff?
No, actually, because I'm diabetic as well, so I have to be careful with the ramen because it has a lot of carbs and stuff in
Okay.
it. So, I've actually switched over to one called Imi.
Really?
Yeah, and it's great for especially if you have diabetes or you're looking for to lose weight or weight control and things like that. I mean, your typical ramen has about 600 to 700
Wow,
calories in it. And then you're looking at about 80 grams of carbs in it
that's true.
in your typical like bulldog, for instance, has that, right? With IMI, it's plant based,
Okay.
so it has and it's 100% vegan.
Wow.
Even though like I'll get the spicy beef or the tom yum, and it tastes like spicy beef and tom yum, but it's 100% vegan. It's only got 18 grams of carbs in it and
Nice.
320 calories
Nice.
per
And is
meal.
it halal though? Does it say halal on the packaging or?
It's 100% vegan.
Okay. Oh, it's vegan. So the flavoring of the beef and the chicken is also vegan. It's like
It's all vegan. Yeah. Yeah.
that's cool. And where do you find that? Is it at the same like at H Mart?
No, that you can get from Whole Foods or you can get it online.
Okay.
And then I mean, it's just same as the other ramen packets. It's just the noodles and the seasoning, and then I add my own stuff to it. I add some bok choy to it.
Nice.
I get ribeye and
Wow.
I freeze it, and then I slice it into thin pieces,
Wow.
and then I'll throw some ribeye in there. And then, my go-to for almost every meal, to add some spice to it is the sambal,
Right.
which is the garlic chili.
Of the
I throw that
best.
into just about yeah, but just about everything I cook has some of that in there,
Right. It
just to
has
get a little kick to
It
it.
has an amazing flavor. I don't know. I know the ingredients are there, but I don't know what they do to it. It's
Yeah,
what they call, like in Sri Lanka, we call something that you like to add to dishes. It's called a rice puller, or it's just like a puller, they call it, because it does. Like
right,
you just want to add it to everything and make to eat more of. It's one of
right,
those.
yep.
So I know you like to go to restaurants, dining out and reviewing them. So when you do that, is it more for you about the food, the meal, or the whole experience of it?
It's the whole experience for me, right? So it's got to be about the atmosphere, the decor, the service,
Hmm.
and then most of all, obviously the food,
Right.
right? So it's about the whole all-around experience. Because if you miss on one of those, if you miss on the decor, the cleanliness, if you miss on the service, then the food really doesn't matter. If you don't get good service somewhere, no matter how good the food is, you're not going to go back there.
I agree totally because it also adds to the whole comfort of where you're going, right? And the thing is
Right.
this, whatever you experience at a restaurant, no matter how good the food is, like you said, you're not going to go back if you weren't treated right or if the food took forever to come or if the customer
Right.
service wasn't good. So, based on that, do you ever feel pressure to give a good review every time you go?
No,
Really?
not at all. Yeah, I try to give my honest review. If it's a restaurant that I went to and the food was great but the service was bad, I'm going to tell people.
Right.
But I'd like to throw disclaimers out there that that was my experience,
Right.
right? And everybody gets a bad day.
Hmm.
Everybody deserves a bad day, and maybe that waiter or that having a bad day that day. So I always tell people that was my experience. Go try it for yourself and see what your experience is.
Right. So when I agree with you on that, but when you do have to like say leave like a negative review, like how do you handle that? Sometimes like if you're at the restaurant and you're upset, do you let like the chef or the person know? And do you like go to, because I know sometimes even when I go to restaurants, right, I always like to read the Google reviews.
Hmm.
I'm not too crazy about going on Yelp. I prefer going to Google reviews
Me
and
too.
I like what people have to say about it, right? So before that, like if you had to leave, say, I mean, if you had a good experience, of course you're going to write a great review and you're going to put it on Google, but do you try
Mhm.
to talk to somebody at the restaurant first?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when I do these videos, you'll see at the end of them that I'm either standing next to the owner or the manager and
Nice.
taking a photo with them before I leave. So I'm telling them what I'm gonna be writing about. And if it was something that was amiss, I'm telling them that, hey, the food was amazing, the decor is great, but unfortunately the service wasn't where I thought it should have been,
Oh
and
wow,
here's why.
that's good.
And I'll tell them, because if you don't, then what's the use of complaining, right? What's the use of going on these boards and these things and saying, oh, the service was horrible here and this? But what are you really doing with that information? Who's really taking that information, doing anything with it, right? If you talk to the owner, you talk to the manager, you let them know, well, maybe now they can make changes,
Right.
and make things better.
And some people want to know. They say, if
Right.
there's any improvement, what do you recommend? So, what I know recently, have you found any hidden gems that you would like to let people know?
So I posted one last night, new video for Dervish in Wayne.
Okay.
So they originally had a location in Cedar Grove, which is still open as well, but they opened a new one in Wayne, right near Willowbrook Mall.
Okay.
Very nice decor,
Hmm.
plenty of seating, plenty of parking. Food was amazing.
Nice. What kind of food, if
And
you don't
and
mind me
this
asking? Okay.
It's Turkish food. The food was amazing. The service was amazing as well.
Awesome.
Very tentative waiters. They were, kept checking up on us to make sure we were good. If you go there, you definitely want to try their Turkish bread that they give you when they come in. It is
Oh, wow.
amazing.
Is it like a
It's a
pita?
very
Is it like a
It's
pita?
not a pita. It is almost like a pita, but it's thinner. It's got a crispy outside, very airy inside,
Wow.
very tender, very warm. And they serve it with some olive oil and
Mm,
pepper and stuff. And that bread was
that
amazing.
sounds good.
We had to ask for seconds. That's how good it was.
Wow. So if you sometimes, you can gauge that in a restaurant. If their bread, if their bread is made in house and if it's fresh,
Yeah.
then you know that they put so much care into just their bread that everything else is naturally going to be okay.
Oh yeah.
That's what I feel at
Yeah. I
least.
mean, 100%, because every dish we got after that, from our appetizers to our main course, was perfectly cooked. The
Wow.
kebabs were perfectly cooked. Everything
Nice.
was great. But there is one hidden gem that a lot of people don't know about. And I don't know. I think they're Uzbeki restaurant.
Okay.
It's called Old Bukhara.
Yeah.
They're in River Edge.
Yes, we've been there.
Oh,
I love their samsas. Have you tried their samsa? Oh, it's one of my
yes.
favorites.
That they have this really thick, hearty soup, because they're mountain people, right?
Right.
So they've got to be up there working, and they're working all day, so their food is very rich and meaty.
Mm-hmm.
They had this one soup that was very bold and meaty flavored and thick, and it was like, and we went there during winter time, and
Wow.
you ate that and it just warmed your whole insides. It was amazing.
Was it like a lamb? Because I know they use a lot of bone broth and a lot of
Yes.
like a bone marrow based soups, right? Nice. I gotta try
But
that.
a lot of people don't know about that location, and it is, if you're looking for something different,
Right.
because we're always eating Turkish and Arabic food and Patterson and stuff. But if you're looking
Exactly.
for something different with a little bit of a twist to it, I would definitely recommend Old Bukhara.
Nice. Yeah. So, because the thing is this, like we've driven past it a few times, and I guess it's also from the entrance because it looks like kind of a house-ish. Don't you agree?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it doesn't, and then I think that you could enter from the front, and you normally don't see people walking in from the front. You have to go
Right.
down to their parking in the driveways at the end of the street. So I guess that's
Yeah.
what it is that people don't realize. Are they open or what's going on? But yeah, since we gave it a try, and then after that we've been going there frequently, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, I really, my kids and I, like, we really enjoy going there. So,
And as I say, I think on weekends they have a live music as
oh
well.
yeah, it's like a little club in there.
Yeah.
Like the music's loud, everyone's dancing, and it's there's birthdays. Like it's really nice. But the sad thing is, you don't know that from the outside.
Right. Yeah.
Like all the fun is all happening on the inside. But yeah, they're really that's become one of our go-to restaurants.
Nice.
So, all right, let's talk about your barbecue and, like you getting into grilling and smoking meat. So, tell us a little about how you got started on that.
So I was always the grill master at home, right? So started off with your typical gas
Right.
grills and charcoal grills, and just making burgers and things like that,
Hmm.
and and then started making some steaks, and then started saying, hey, you go to these restaurants and you get like these 60, $70 steaks, and they're amazing, but
Right.
it's just like, y- there's not many halal, like now there is,
Now,
but
yeah.
back then there really wasn't, right? Like, if you wanted a halal steak, you had to make it
Yep.
yourself. Because so I started trying to figure out, okay, how can I make these steaks better? So I moved into, grilling and barbecuing and figuring out marinades. What's the difference between using a dry rub on a steak versus using a marinade on a steak? How does it cook differently? A lot of online research to figure out
Right.
what the right way to do everything was. And just my brother now says that he will not eat steak outside the house anymore
Wow.
because my steak is so much better than any steak he eats in a restaurant.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you know you're doing a good job, you know?
Right.
So when you're cooking it, like, do you prefer, because I know like we have the gas, charcoal, the wood, and which is your preference in cooking and why?
So now I bought a new grill this year. I bought a Pit Boss pellet
Okay,
smoker.
okay.
So that is now my favorite way to cook a steak. So I will literally get a like a tomahawk, a 3-inch thick, 3-pound steak,
Wow.
and smoke it, marinate it, and then smoke it for like 3-4 hours.
Wow.
Slow at like 250 degrees or
Okay.
200 degrees for 3-4 hours, and it smoking and grilling are two different things. You get two different experiences
Right.
with the food with it, right? So that when you smoke something, it's slow and low temperature, and it really tenderizes that meat, right?
Okay.
It makes it really fall off the bone tender. Whereas when you're cooking on a regular grill and you're using high heat, it's more about getting that char on the outside and
Exactly.
then getting the right temperature on the
Mhm.
inside. But there's nothing like a good smoked meat.
True, because I am one more than anything. I'm like one of the only people in my family that really loves like the brisket, the corned beef, like the smoked
Oh
meat.
yes.
It's so melt in the mouth. It's I don't know. It's I guess if you love it, you really love it. And
Oh yeah.
so what's it like? So when you're smoking it, do you like you said you cook it for about 2.5 to 3 hours? Did you have to keep opening in and like basting anything of any sorts, or do you just close it and then you just
No. So, one of my favorite gadgets is my Chef IQ wireless meat thermometer.
okay,
And I prefer that more than the other ones. You have ThermoPro and all these other guys out there that make it. They're all Bluetooth or either Wi-Fi on the same network.
okay,
Whereas the Chef IQ is a Wi-Fi thermometer,
hmm,
a meat thermometer that I can actually leave the house and go
wow,
anywhere I want and still monitor the temperatures on it. Where I can't do that with a lot of the other ones. You either have to be on the same network or you
oh,
have to be, 20 feet away from it
right.
because it's Bluetooth. So the Chef IQ, I really enjoy using that meat thermometers because it allows me, especially when I'm doing brisket, right?
Mm.
I mean, my brisket's a 5-pound brisket. It will probably take me a good 13 hours to cook.
Wow, really?
So, oh yeah. I mean, I've done 15, 20-pound briskets and they've taken me anywhere from 24 to 30 hours to cook them.
Wow.
So overnight cooking and all that. Yeah.
I love brisket. You know what? One day you're gonna make brisket and you're gonna invite my family and we're gonna come over and I'm gonna try
Oh,
and we
definitely.
could make a video about how you do your brisket.
Definitely. Brisket and do some burnt ends and yeah, definitely.
So nice.
Unlike with the steak, where I can just let it cook for 3 hours, not worry about it because it's not going to dry out.
Right.
With the brisket, you really have to babysit a brisket.
Really?
Especially for the first 6 hours, because when you smoke a brisket, it's the first 4 to 6 hours is when it really pulls in that smoke flavor,
Okay.
right? After that four to 6 hours, it's no longer going to pull in that flavor from the smoke. So you've got to really babysit it for the first 4 6 hours to make sure you're getting enough smoke in there. Sometimes I'll add an extra smoke tube
Wow. Okay.
in the grill so to add an extra smoke to it, and then you don't want the bark. And then after the 4 to 6 hours, you also don't want the outside, the bark, to get too dry. So every hour or every 2 hour and a half, I'm going up to it and I'm spraying it with a half apple cider vinegar, half water combination,
Wow.
and just spraying it to keep the bark and the crust moist so it doesn't dry out. And so briskets it's a task to make a
Really?
brisket.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
like it. I didn't realize that there's so much, love and care that you got to put into something,
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh
not
yeah.
like a leg of lamb that you could just throw in and let it cook for hours and then you have the gravy and then it just melts off the
Right.
bone. It's a different cut and it's a different style of cooking.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, brisket is a tougher meat, right? So
okay.
it's a tougher meat than like a ribeye or something like that. So that's why it only really works when you cook it slow and low, right?
Okay.
So you can really tenderize that meat. But let me tell you, it's worth every bite Once the
Sure.
13 hours are finished, it's worth every bite.
So now you normally wait for the summer to do that, or you cook it year round, even in the winter?
Oh no, I will shovel the snow and make a path to my
Wow.
grill, and I will cook in the winter. I've got a special heating blanket on top of my smoker to keep the heat inside the smoker.
Wow.
So I will, yeah, I was doing it during Ramadan. I was doing it in
Really?
December. Yeah, I
Uh,
was making brisket during Ramadan and stuff like that as well. So
nice.
yeah,
You're
I
like
mean,
this real pro grill master, smoke master.
oh, I love it.
That's so
I
cool.
love it. Everybody talks about, oh, summertime, summertime. Summertime's the worst time to
Yeah, because
grill.
you're hot there, you're sweating and standing up there.
Exactly. You're standing at this grill and all this 1,000-degree heat is coming at you and you're sweating like crazy. Springtime, fall time, winter time, I love to grill.
Wow. That's awesome. That's really cool. So, have you ever had a barbecue fail that has taught you something valuable? When maybe when you were first starting out.
Yeah, oh, definitely. When I was first starting out, definitely. You never know what the right temperatures are, how long to leave something in there. I've burnt a couple of steaks. I've burnt a couple of chickens.
Oh yeah.
Chicken is so hard when you're grilling and stuff like that because you have to find that right temperature
Mhm.
where it doesn't dry it out.
Right.
Right? That's the worst thing. You have a dry piece of
I
chicken,
know.
right? So I burnt some chicken doing that. So in the beginning, it was a lot of trial and error because every grill is different. Every grill has different hot spots
True.
on it. So you've got to really learn your grill and your smoker to figure out, okay, where's my hot spots, right? Especially with my smoker, like I know if I cook something on the right side of the smoker, because the vent is pulling all the smoke and heat out that way, it's getting a little bit more heat than the left side of the smoker. So I'll be moving them around quite a bit to make sure I'm adjusting the temperatures on there
Wow.
so they're cooking evenly.
It's a lot of work. I guess it's by trial and error because at least now we're thankful we have YouTube and Google that say, hey, what went wrong? This happened. Like
Right.
20,
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago,
I know.
it was like pure experience. It's so much harder.
Exactly. It's figure out yourself back then.
Yeah, true. So if you had a cuisine that you could eat forever, what would that
Definitely smoked meats and barbecue
be?
all
Yeah.
day.
And that's
All day.
that's
Yeah.
nice because you know what? There's also a variety of it. One day you could do beef, one day you could do.
Oh yeah.
Another one thing I was wondering is, could you smoke chicken?
I do. I smoke whole chicken,
Oh wow.
and it is. I will tell you, my wife doesn't eat a lot of red meat,
Okay.
so I usually make it for her. So I I spatchcock the chicken.
What does that mean?
So spatchcock is basically when you remove the backbone and
Okay.
then you flatten it like a but like a
Like a butterfly.
spatchcock, or the people call it butterfly. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So you remove the backbone and then you flatten it down. When you do that, it actually cooks faster. It's a faster
Okay.
cook time than doing it as a whole chicken.
Right.
It takes longer to cook that
Uh-huh.
way. So I'll marinate it and put it in the smokers. Chicken's great because it's about 2.5 hours
Okay.
in the
That's
smoker.
good.
So it's not too
Hmm.
bad. And then about and I can't stress this more for everybody, that resting periods are so important when it comes to barbecuing and
Right.
smoking. It's the time where all the juices redistribute
Hmm.
themselves within the meat, right? So, when you're dealing with steaks, if you're grilling a steak, whatever time you took to cook that steak, you want to double that as the resting time. When
Okay.
you're smoking a steak, it's about 15 minutes, 15 20 minutes to let the steak rest.
Right.
Briskets, 2 hours, two to
Wow.
three hours, you let it
So
rest.
you can't be in a
Because
rush
when
to eat it after you make your
no,
patience.
no, you can't. Yeah, it's a very because you take the brisket out when it reaches 165 degrees.
Okay.
The ideal eating temperature for the brisket is 145 to 50.
Okay.
So you got to let it come down
Hmm.
to that temperature while it absorbs the juices and stuff like that. But the chicken you mentioned, I will tell you, if you eat a smoked chicken, it is juicy,
Wow.
not dry at all.
Right.
The hardest thing is chicken breast dries out very
Hmm.
quickly, right? So, but not with this. It's literally like butter when you
Wow.
smoke a chicken. It's amazing.
All right, so that's also on the list when we come, Imran.
Yes, definitely.
Brisket and smoked chicken. So
Yes.
talk about marinades. Do you like dry rubs? Do you like the wet marinades? What is your like favorite one to use?
So it depends what I'm making, right? With the chicken, I use a dry rub. I
Okay.
use a mixture of two dry rubs for the chicken.
Hmm.
For the brisket, I use a dry rub as well.
Okay.
For the steak, I use a marinade.
Okay.
So it's a very simple marinade that I make. It's half cup olive oil, half cup water, um, the garlic chili, the sambal,
Okay. Oh, you use it on
and
that too?
oh
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I need a kick. I need a kick in my food a
True.
little bit, right? I mean, we're desi, so we can't have
You
we
need
need
the
that little kick
spice.
in there.
Yeah. True.
That's right. Yeah. And then some lemon, and um, and then there's a packet from McCormick called Brazilian steak seasoning,
Okay.
and then you add that in there. You mix it up really well, and then you put it on the steak for marinade. And I usually like to let my steaks marinate for 24 to 48 hours.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So it really infuses the
Hmm.
flavor inside there, and then I'll grill it.
Awesome. So do you think like using fresh garlic, because I know we sometimes I like to use my dry rubs, I use like a garlic powder. Do you use
Uh-huh.
fresh garlic or do you think that'll kind of burn when you're grilling or smoking?
So my mom actually takes fresh garlic, and dries it out, and then makes her own garlic powder.
Wow, really? That's so
Yeah,
cool.
so I will use that. I mean, the house smells like garlic for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I will use that garlic powder in my mixes. I feel like if you use fresh garlic, especially if you're using a high heat grill,
Mm,
it's gonna burn the garlic very
right.
quickly. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. But that's so cool. I mean, that garlic powder must be the best
It's
because no
amazing.
preservative, nothing's put in it. It's just
Nothing.
fresh.
Yeah.
And then I know you mentioned about your kitchen tools. You said that you like that thermometer. So, what are the other your go-to must-have kitchen tools for smoking and grilling?
Say my Anovo sous vide. I love to sous vide.
I'm
Um,
not familiar. What's that?
okay, so sous vide is a French style of cooking
Okay.
that uses a water bath. So what you do is you fill a container with water, and you take your meat. So for instance, let's say I'm doing a steak,
Okay.
right? And you take your steak, you marinate it, whatever, and then you put it into a Ziploc bag
Okay.
or an airtight bag,
Uh-huh.
and you take all the air out of it,
Okay.
and you vacuum seal it. You put this device, which is called a sous vide device. It's made by
Mm-hmm.
Anova. I've had it for years now. I think the one I've had for 6 years now. There's newer models that are better, but I don't know, Old Faithful for me. And you put the device in this water tub,
Okay.
right? And it heats the water up, and it causes a current in the water. So let's say I'm doing a steak. I want my steak at one medium temperature at 145.
Okay.
I will cook the steak in the water bath at 140. So it'll maintain a 140-degree temperature in that water bath, and cooks the steak in that water bath. You can never overcook it.
That's
No matter
amazing.
what you do, you can, and it's usually about an hour that you have to leave it in there, but you will get the most perfect medium steak out of that
Wow.
because it can't overcook. Once it hits 40 degrees, it can't go any higher. So then once you're done, you take the steak out of the Ziploc, you take the steak out of the Ziploc bag, you pat it
Mm-hmm.
dry on the outside, and then you just put it on a cast iron,
Wow.
really high heat cast iron for 2 minutes on each side, just to get that crust on there. And when you cut that steak open, it's got
Wow.
that perfect pink middle.
Wow, I could just like picture everything and it sounds, I just learned something new today. I didn't know that there was a technique like that. So then that you get medium rare or like a medium well or what is
Yeah, whatever temperature you set it to, that's the
Mhm.
temperature it's going to stop cooking at.
Okay.
So if you want a medium rare, you want to cook it like 130,
Got
135.
it.
If you want a medium, 140,
Hmm.
145. If you want well done for some reason, which our parents like well done meat
Yes.
only, 165.
Right. Personally,
So
for me, I
yeah,
like it medium well, but because I know like my husband, like they just like to see it like a little bloody in the center, but I can. If I do
yeah.
that, then I become vegetarian. But I like it medium
But that's
well.
not blood.
But yeah, but then sometimes I
It's
see
not
stuff
blood.
on the
That's
plate
that.
and I'm like, oh, I can't eat that.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest misconception when it comes to steak, right? When people get a medium rare steak or
Right.
something like that, and they cut it, and they think that's blood coming out. It's not. It's actually enzyme.
Really?
That's not
Oh
blood
my
that's coming.
goodness. I had
Yeah,
no idea because like I mean you just it's visual, right? Like you see red and you see
right.
that you're like it's blood, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it looks like blood, but it's really not. It's an enzyme that's broken down when the meat is being cooked.
Hmm,
It's an enzyme that breaks down and it just happens to be a red color. So it's really not blood that you're seeing that's coming out of there. That's a big misconception people have.
that's interesting. Well, now I know. But
And then
I think I'm gonna still stick to the medium well though.
yeah. And I'll tell you the sous vide method, if, with chicken and fish in
Hmm.
there as well. Chicken breast comes out amazing in there in the sous vide as well.
Really?
Very juicy, very moist, very
Uh-huh.
flavorful, not dry and stringy at all. So, that the chicken breast in the sous vide is amazing. And then it's great for like, wintertime. You don't want to go outside. You don't want to really
Yeah.
stand out in the cold in the
Right.
weather. You just take a pot out and set up the sous vide and just put it on the cast iron once it's done. It's
That's
great for
so
wintertime.
interesting. There's so much
Yeah.
to, they like so much I learned just listening to the whole smoking, grillings, and side of it. It's really interesting. It's like a whole different art of cooking, in itself.
It's a full science.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of research to kind of figure out the best ways to cook and do different things. A lot of YouTube videos, watching a lot of different pit masters and
Wow.
smoke masters, kind of get learning their techniques to be able to implement them in
Right.
what I do as well.
Nice. So, okay, I have a quick questions. It's like a either or one word answers. Okay.
Sure.
Uh, wings or ribs?
Wings,
Sweet or spicy?
spicy,
Do you like to dine in or have street food?
both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Restaurant meals, home cooked meals.
home cooked meals.
Yep, of course. Favorite city for food?
New York. I mean, what can't you get in New York?
True, true. And the most overrated food trend right now?
Ooh, that's a good one. Most overrated food trend. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a tough one.
I think because I have a feeling it's this whole Nashville hot chicken thing that's going around.
Oh God, I cannot. I'm sorry. I don't need another chicken restaurant.
Right? There are so many now. My goodness.
It's way too much. I was out in Chicago a couple of months back. The variety out there is really good. The variety of different foods you get out there as well. I mean, as far as halal foods,
Okay.
and I would say, and you know what, as far as variety, I'm going to take New York back
Oh, really?
as far as
Uh-oh.
the food. I'm going to take New York back because New York does have everything, but it's not always halal,
True.
right?
Okay.
So
I agree. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Mississauga.
Mississauga. Wow.
Mississauga in
Yeah.
Canada. I mean, they literally have every variety of food that you could find, and it's halal. From hibachi restaurants to sushi
Hmm.
restaurants to Caribbean restaurants, and they have all different genres, all different varieties, and it's all halal.
That is.
Their food scene really halal. Their halal food
Yeah.
scene it really beats anywhere else I've seen.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you too, because when we go to Canada, we go to like we always go hunting for halal restaurants, and it's amazing. Like you don't know, like it's like okay, let's go for lunch, let's go for dinner, and the choices. It's hard to choose because there are that many.
Oh yeah,
But one thing I
yeah,
haven't
exactly.
come across is I don't know if you have. Have you found any Peruvian, any? Because I know you get halal Mexican. We've tried. There's Thai. There's Caribbean food, but something like totally different. Like even now.
So there was one Peruvian restaurant
Okay.
in Patterson, and I don't think they're there anymore. This is probably when my daughter was born. She was born in St. Joseph's, and she was not in the NICU for a while, so we would go to this Peruvian restaurant, which was like 2 blocks from St. Joseph's, and all their meat they got from the local halal
Awesome.
butchers.
Okay.
So I mean, they didn't advertise that it was halal, which was crazy to me, especially being in
I
Patterson.
know, because people
Like,
go
why would
looking
you
for
not
it.
advertise that?
Exactly.
Right. And it was a Peruvian restaurant. I mean, their lomo saltado was amazing. Their chava rice was amazing.
Really.
So yeah, and it was all halal, which was great. I
That's
don't think they're around anymore though.
that's sad because that's one cuisine that I like to try, but you really haven't found anything. And
Yeah.
is Peruvian food, is it kind of on the spicy side, or do they have any?
It's not spicy, but and it's funny because the Peruvian food's like it's a mixture of almost like Chinese food and Latin food.
Okay.
So it's kind of a mix of that because they have like their own version of like fried rice
Mm-hmm.
and things like that.
Okay.
So lomo saltado is like a beef with tomatoes and onions and French fries,
Wow.
or you can get the chicken version of this as well. Lomo saltado is probably my favorite Peruvian dish
Wow.
that I've tried.
Nice. I hope I get to try it one day. Hopefully, like one of those open up soon. I would love to go because we always like going on food ventures. And talking about food ventures, what is if there was like a dream, like a restaurant, like a food venture that you'd like to go, where would that be?
As far as a country or a restaurant or what?
Or even if you had to drive to a place and go try something out. But you know what? The good thing is this. We have more halal restaurants around us now than 15, 20 years ago.
Oh yeah,
So the
oh
good
yeah,
thing is, even if there was like, say, a halal, I don't know, Korean barbecue in California. I mean, we have one
right,
right here in New Jersey. We have a few
right,
and in New York. But
yeah.
so let me put it this way. If there was a food adventure you'd go on to a cuisine that you haven't tried, it doesn't have to be in
Um,
America. It could be anywhere in the world. Where would you like to go?
let's see, a cuisine I haven't tried. You know what? I haven't experimented much with African food.
Okay.
I mean, I've tried a little bit of Ethiopian.
Mm-hmm.
I've had one or two dishes from like Nigeria, like the jollof rice and things like that.
Mm,
But I haven't really ventured too much into like to African food. And it's sad because Harlem's right here, and they have a
right.
great section of Harlem that has amazing Nigerian, Sudanese food and things like that. And I just haven't had the chance to go over there and try it yet. But that's probably one genre of food that I want to explore more.
Yeah, because it's interesting because you don't know whether it's similar to like the Nigerian Ethiopian food or whether they have something of their own that's unique to just
Right.
African food culture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, what in here in say in New Jersey, since we're in New Jersey, what's your favorite restaurant in New Jersey, and what's the name of it, and what's your favorite dish there?
In New Jersey.
Hmm.
Let's see. So it's a restaurant that I've been going to for years. It's a restaurant where me and my wife first went out when I introduced her to my parents.
Okay.
It's in Clifton slash Patterson, Toro's Turkish
Okay. Yeah.
Cuisine,
Yeah.
on
Toros.
Hazel Street.
Right.
Um, that's been our go-to restaurant since we met, me and my wife 16 years ago, 17
Wow.
years ago.
That's awesome.
And my favorite dish there is actually the calf liver.
Really? Oh my goodness.
It is an appetizer dish,
Okay.
and I've tried it in a bunch of different other restaurants. I tried it last night at Dervish,
Okay.
but I still think the Toro's is the best. It's got the right amount of flavoring and spice to
Mm-hmm.
it. It's a breaded calf liver that they pan fry
Mm.
with onions and tomatoes. I just feel like Toro's, they add the right amount of spice and flavoring to it. And you just squeeze a little lemon on it, and it's amazing.
Does it have, because my issue with liver is like, or any like certain meats is I don't like that gamey taste.
It
Does
doesn't.
it really?
It doesn't have, yeah, because I think the spices kind of get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one I had last night at Dervish had a gamey taste to it because it didn't have as much
Mm.
spices to it.
Got it.
But the one at Toro's, like I said, I think it has the right amount of spice and flavoring to it where it kind of overrides that gamey flavor.
All right. That's good to know. So, if you had any advice for home cooks or those who are just starting to grill and barbecue, what would you tell them?
Don't be scared to mess up. And experiment. Try different things, try different flavor, try different spices, try different marinades. Go on this. These days it's so great, you can go online, find anything you want. Back in the days when I started, you couldn't do that. You had to find a cookbook,
Yeah.
you had to go to Barnes and Nobles,
Mm-hmm.
you had to ask an auntie how she made it, and write it down. But now everything is at your fingertips, and don't be scared to experiment. Take a little bit of the information from this guy and take a little bit from that guy, and experiment a little bit with your cooking.
Yeah, I think
Try it
that's
on your family first, obviously.
You can't go wrong. They'll be very honest.
Exactly. They'll tell you the truth, especially the kids.
Oh yeah, true. That's great advice. I guess, for anyone who's cooking and baking to never give up, We learn by
Yeah.
trial and error, so I think that's a great advice, Imran.
Hey, don't be scared to fail.
Yeah,
I failed quite a bit. I've burnt quite a bit of things.
that's interesting. So, yeah, this brings us to the end of this episode of the Passionate Palate. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to our fun and flavorful chat. If you have any questions for Imran or me, just drop it in the comments. And I want to thank you, Imran, for being my guest on the show today. It was really interesting and very insightful, knowledgeable talking to you. And if you guys want to check out Imran's food journey and everything that he barbecues and grills, you could check him out on Facebook at Imran Khaja and Chef Brown Guy on Instagram. And would you like to add anything? Is there anywhere else that you post videos or do
No,
anything?
that's it for now. My kids are pushing me to go on YouTube and TikTok, so I may join that soon, but
You should. It's
we'll see.
fun. It's fun, especially like
Yeah.
even YouTube. And like, since you are so knowledgeable and like you could give a lesson on how things are done. And on YouTube, I'm sure there's going to be a huge following, those who are new, who want to learn, just beginner
Yeah.
level that you could teach them. I think that would be great. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Passionate Palate, and subscribe so you'll also be the first to know when my next episode drops for more flavorful and tasty conversations. And as always, remember, don't count the calories, count the delicious memories. And thank you again, Imran, for being on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.